Also wanted to send out our kudos to the Albany Downtown Association members that were recognized at the Distinguished Service Awards, Brian Orr, the Natty Dresser, and our friends at Furniture Share. And in my last 10 seconds, I would like to thank Director Yeager for a great planning meeting for our upcoming Economic Improvement District and renewal.
Thank you very much, Director. Wow, she got a lot in.
Right on the 3 minutes.
Well done.
Well done, yes.
So before she comes up, so I have been on the Willamette Criminal Justice Council, also with Councilor Smith, and we've been talking about, Benton County's been talking about the Justice Center that they're putting together. And Commissioner Weiss asked me to address this evening, and she did send some information to us. So Commissioner Weiss, I'm going to give her 3 minutes, and then she's going to take questions from us if we have any. I imagine we will. But if she does go a little longer, I'm okay with that because this is a really important thing for Albany because North Albany is in Benton County. So we are participating in this.
Yes, thank you.
I'll keep the clock, Matt.
I am Nancy Wise. I am a Benton County Commissioner. I am here tonight wearing my hat with the Political Action Committee. And I'll just say Commissioner Zan Ojero and Sheriff Jeff Van Arsdal are way better at these things than I am.
Commissioner Weiss, can I just get you to pull the mic very close to you so we can get it on recording?
Is this better?
Thank you.
Nope,
Thank you.
pull it
Yeah.
further.
Is this better?
A little more.
A little more.
It's okay.
That's
There you
good?
go.
Okay, it's very close. Okay. All right, let's see. So today I'm here to ask for the endorsement for Benton County's Measure 2140. As the mayor noted, there has been materials that I emailed to you. So Measure 2140 is shaped by our community. Benton County undertook a 5-year public process with extensive engagement across the county to shape this measure. With the help of a diverse advisory committee, we assess the long-term needs for the health and safety of our community to focus this bond on our most critical needs. The number of crimes being reported in Benton County has increased 28% in the last 5 years. The number of people released from the jail because of overcrowding has increased 664% over the past 8 years. The current jail was built in the 70s as a temporary facility, and we must rent beds from Norcor and the Dalles to make up for the lack of beds and treatment programs. Offenders are sent hours away from their families and connections in the community. That is not a good way to house people in custody, and that uses up resources that could be going to services. We need to keep our community safe, which entails more than just a new jail. We also need to make investments now to address our mental health and homeless crises and prepare for the long-term safety of our residents in the event of a natural disaster or emergency. Measure 2140 will support the modernization of county services to take on critical issues of public safety, mental health, and homelessness. Measure 2140 supports the health and safety of the community by creating a new community safety and justice campus to provide jail facilities that meet the needs of the community, including mental health treatment and addiction recovery services. Expanded space for the Benton County's Children and Family Program to provide treatment for youth and family who need mental health support and wraparound services. Funding for a homelessness and housing navigation center to provide access to services and help get people off the streets. An emergency operations center to ensure first responders can effectively coordinate emergency response to keep us safe in case of a disaster. Measure 2140 will have long-term cost advantages for taxpayers because inaction on these pressing issues will cost more in the long run. By investing in alternatives to jails and emergency rooms and focusing on underlying mental health and addiction conditions, we can save money and reduce the rate of return to the legal system. For example, a 2016 analysis found that each person experiencing long-term homelessness cost the local justice system on average $4,000 every 90-day period when you include jail stays, citations, and police encounters. Additionally, making these investments now will reduce the cost of transporting people in custody to other detention facilities around the state for a savings of $1.5 million annually. And it'll help the county secure federal and state matching funds. I ask that you please join other community leaders in endorsing Measure 2140. The City of Adair Village and the City of Corvallis have both endorsed.
3 minutes, good job. So council, you heard Commissioner Wise. Do you have any questions for Commissioner Wise?
I do.
Please.
I know we spoke about the new facility some time ago, and the groundbreaking is how far off?
Well, we have to pass the bond first.
Right. But there was something about the new,
Oh, the courthouse.
no,
No?
it was,
Crisis Center.
maybe so. Maybe that's what I'm remembering, but I thought that it was something that was like all ready to go, but it's a ways off. And so
Yes, so that's,
My-
so the bond, the whole criminal justice, the whole justice system improvement program is multi-phases. So the first phase includes the Mental Health Crisis Center, which will be in downtown Corvallis, and then also the courthouse, which will be on the Justice and Safety campus.
and when we get to the jail part,
So yeah,
that's
those,
what we had discussed before.
yeah, so those other two pieces have already been funded. And then the bond will include the correctional facility, the sheriff's office, an emergency operations center, expansion of our children and families program building, and then $3 million towards a homeless navigation center, and $0.8 million for bond issuance costs.
Okay, thank you.
Are you done, Counselor?
I think so.
Any other counselor have any questions? Counselor Montague, and I'll go Counselor Smith.
So if this bond does not pass, is your plan to still spend the money on the expanded youth mental health services facility and the new homelessness service navigation center?
Well, if the bond does not pass, we will not have funding for those.
So the $43.8 million county investment would not be invested?
Let's see, where are you looking at the
Pie chart?
pie chart? So 24 million, so total county investment of $43.8 million has to do with the courthouse. So we received a $25 million match from the state of Oregon to build a courthouse. So we are matching that with $25 million, and then we need to come up with another $8 million because the state will not match a DA's office apparently. Anyway, so that money is included there. So the 59% is the bond. So like I said, the Justice System Improvement Program is much bigger. The bond is just phase 2 of it. So other pieces are being worked on. But the sheriff's office, the jail, the navigation center, and the children and families would not be funded if the bond does not pass.
Okay.
Counselor Smith. Thank you, Counselor Montague.
2 questions. The bond measure does not include money for staffing the facilities, is that correct?
Correct.
And that money would come from,
So we have a levy that it does need to be renewed every 5 years. We did renew it early this time around, but there is money included in our levy for staff.
thank you. Question number 2, you mentioned the inmates that are out of this area, specifically the ones that are housed in the Dalles. Those are inmates who are serving sentences, is that correct?
Correct. So they are only after they have gone through to court. So post-trial, there's no one, we're not allowed to send anyone pre-trial there.
Where do you take people who are waiting trial, and are any of them taken to Lynn County? Here we are right next door.
It is my understanding that we do not have many opportunities to bring anyone to Lynn County. We do, so we have our jail, which is 40-bed max capacity, although with the way things work, we usually have much less than that. Things like gender and people who need to be in a room alone, that number of available beds starts shrinking. We also rent 10 beds from Polk County. So that's just another example of us sending money out of our community and having to transport people away from their community supports.
The Polk County arrangement's been going on for many years, is that right?
It actually just occurred with our, he's not new anymore, but about 2 years, when we brought on a new sheriff, the Polk County Sheriff reached out and said, hey, we'd be willing to rent beds free. So it's been about 2 years.
Okay. I'm remembering an earlier arrangement with Yamhill County, I think.
Yes, Yamhill, yeah, and in the past, we've been able to rent from Lincoln County as well, but that is no longer an option.
And all of that goes to illustrate that you've been short on space for decades.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other comment that I would have is that the issue of eminent domain for the property, I am hopeful that the court challenge to that will result in a fair market price.
Yes, we are currently in the eminent domain negotiation period. We are happy to negotiate with McFadden LLC. We have made a fair offer. The court date trial has been set for February of 2024. And the most recent information I have is that McFadden LLC did take the money out of the account that we set up with the courts. So they took the money.
Okay. One other comment, and that is to thank you for coming and acknowledging that Albany is the second largest city in Benton County.
Yes, thank you. I did not want to leave you all out. Thank you for
Councilor
having
Newton,
me.
you have anything? Councilor McGee? So I've been listening to this discussion since I became a city councilor back in 2019 when I got elected. And I'm really happy to see that you guys are moving forward, that Benton County is moving forward, because we are part of the same family with North Albany being in Benton County. So I would recommend, so how would I proceed if we want to talk about this more?
We have the language that commissioners provided. If you want to take a vote tonight as to whether you want to adopt a resolution, and the council would then authorize you to sign that resolution when we have it printed for you. It's just not in your packet tonight.
Did the council get a chance to read the draft language? I read it several times. Did you get a chance?
I did read it.
Okay. So council, what would we like to do tonight? We have a motion? Turn your mic on. We need it on record, so you need to talk to your microphone so I can get you. Okay, go ask her, please. So is somebody going to make a motion?
I'll move that we support and endorse Measure 2140.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no.
Forgive me, I'm in favor of what's going on, but I've mentioned to Commissioner Weiss that a lot of folks are pretty hard pressed these days, and I'm wondering, how am I supposed to find the money to support this? I support it, emotionally in a sense, but you can only go so far. So that's just, I represent people like me who are like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that with the cost of everything and the way things are? And I know, it's like,
Well, they have to vote on it.
yeah, and that's true. So our support of it doesn't impact that, and I understand
Correct.
that. And in that sense, I can give my support, but I also live in North Albany, and I know that if it does pass, it brings me right back to, where do I get the money to cover everything? There's so many ways that we're being asked to. So yeah, I can support the resolution. I can support the resolution, and I guess just pray that when the bond passes, if it passes, that people only have so much. And when it's, what are you going to do when, that's all I'm trying to say, is that be aware of the fact that you can pass these, and these are good things to do, but the money's got to come from somewhere. And it's coming out of the pockets of people who are very hard pressed, many very hard pressed in North Albany, I will tell you. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
That is a yes vote?
It's a yes vote, sir, to support the resolution.
Okay, support the resolution. Looks like the motion passes 5-0. Commissioner, thank you for coming to speak with us this evening. And I will
very
have
much.
the resolution signed this evening, and make sure you get a copy of it.
Sure. So I have an endorsement form for you to sign. Should I wait till the end of the meeting?
You can just give it to the clerk, and she'll make sure I get a hold of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much again, Commissioner. Does anyone else would like to address the council this evening? Now, if not, I will end the business from the public. Okay, thank you. Adoption of a resolution, adoption of Parks and Recreation schedule of fees and charges for Bravo November 2023-2025 biennial, right? Yeah, biennium. And by Director Kim Dane on page 5 of your packet.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having me this evening. For your approval tonight is the Parks and Recreation schedule of fees and charges. Traditionally, fees are reviewed annually to make sure that we're keeping up with staffing costs along with materials and services. Due to the pandemic, many of our facilities were closed or greatly reduced with hours for extended periods of time. As a result, our department, like many other park and recreation programs across the state, did not increase fees. This is not a sustainable model, so we're back today to request the first updated rates for rentals and aquatics programs since 2020. Additionally, our department will be changing registration software in the spring. With any change, it's the opportunity to take a look and see what we can do better. In regards to aquatic programs, we found that there were opportunities for streamlining our pricing between our two facilities, Albany Community Pool and Cool Pool, as well as creating a flexible monthly membership program instead of a yearly one or punch passes. We believe these changes will give better customer value, increase flexibility for our patrons, and it's a more streamlined administrative process on our end. One recommendation that you will see in regards to rental rates is the reintroduction of a nonprofit discount. Nonprofit discount was a part of our pricing structure until 2020 when we were asked for it to be removed. Nonprofit discounts are an industry standard and one that many of our community partners have continued to inquire about since. As a result, we recommend that council add back a 10% discount for nonprofits. In the resolution packet, you'll see the effective date for the new rates listed as June 1st. Since submission, our go-live date for our new registration software has been set for May 24th. So, in speaking with the city clerk, the revised copy of the resolution will have May 24th instead of June 21st. So that way it's a seamless transition and we don't make it any more complicated than it already is. So that is my presentation. Any questions?
Council?
I have one.
Yes.
So I noticed there's the refundable damage deposit. My question about that is, are people paying with card for the refundable damage deposit? And then is it costing us additional transaction fees to refund that?
Good question. With our new registration software, our current system doesn't really allow you to keep credit cards on file because of security. The new registration system software has it offsite in a secure, I'm going to sound really silly, secure cloud. So we will be able to process refunds on credit cards much more efficiently, which will decrease staff time.
So, but is that costing us more money with the refund fees? Like if we're already paying a payment processor fee, and then usually you have a fee whenever you issue a refund, and we're issuing the full $100. So I'm wondering if it's like a percentage, like if it's a 2 or 3%, and then we're basically eating
Reading that
$6.
cost. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that I was just curious if we knew if we were eating that cost, or if we wanted to offer like I'm just spitballing here, a convenience fee for someone using a card, because the rates are already, like I'm looking at the room rental, $40, then a $100 deposit. That's already a smoking deal of $40 for the room rental. But if we're then eating an additional $6 in processing fees, it's something to consider, because especially since the parks budget is quite slender.
That's something we can definitely consider and bring back if that's something you're interested in. We'd be happy to.
Council, are you done, Council?
I just wanted to piggyback on that. Do people have an option to pay with a check or cash? Do they have to use credit cards?
They do not.
Great.
A lot of, yep.
So that's what I was mentioning, like convenience fees, if we
Right, I
they pass the
understand. Yeah, I
processing fee
totally
over.
get what those are,
but-
and we pass them on to our customers because we can't afford them as a business, and I dare say probably Parks and Rec is squeaking when you have to cough it up. So maybe we could make a rule that says local personal checks or cash. Maybe we take away I don't know, or pass it on to the customer for people who don't care if it's an extra 4% or whatever it is.
And we do include it in our cost recovery model for our registration for our programs. And so it is built, we are making sure that we are covering our appropriate cost recovery. But it is something that you won't necessarily see an individual charge back for a credit card fee for our patrons.
Thank you. Thank you both, counselors. Counselor Montague, Counselor Smith, Counselor McGee. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve a resolution revising fees and charges for Parks and Recreation Services for fiscal biennium 2023 through 2025 and repealing resolution number 6927.
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. You say aye.
I said yes.
Okay, thank you. I just missed it.
I would be very clear if I
Okay.
were saying no.
Thank you. All those
You
in
wouldn't
favor.
miss it.
So it looks like your motion passes. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, award of a contract. Award of a contract for WP-22-01, in addition to AM-WPTP raw water pump station generator, Stacy Belcastro and Nolan Nelson, page 9 through 11 in your packet. Nolan bailed on you.
Just me tonight. Good evening, Mayor and councilors. So tonight, staff is recommending that council award a contract to Kronsberg Electric in the amount of $372,000. Let me get this right amount. $776. This contract is for a project to install a generator at the Albany Millersburg Water Treatment Plant raw water pump station. So the raw water pump station, it's located along the Santiam River. It pumps water up to the plant where it's treated and to produce drinking water. Installation of the generator will allow the raw water pump station to keep delivering water to the plant in the event that there's a power outage. Back in, I think it was October 2021, council did appropriate ARPA funds in the amount of $1 million. That's the American Rescue
Plan.
Plan Act funds. And then council also approved purchase of the generator last October. We're expecting delivery of the generator in December. Approving this contract will allow the contractor to install the owner-supplied generator and the improvements and electrical that's needed to make it operate.
Council, we have questions. Councilor Montague is first up.
So I saw in the packet that it's mentioned that that site experiences frequent power outages. Do we know why we are having frequent power outages out there?
It is in a remote location, and I'm like frequent. It's not monthly, maybe once a year, but when it does, it is a big impact. I know that there's been a couple times where the water's been out for an extended period of time, especially in inclement weather. We're lucky that we have a second plant, but there can be situations where both plants aren't operating. So it just builds up resiliency by having a generator.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Councilor Smith?
Those power outages are often related to wind and trees, isn't that right?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Councilor Newton and Councilor McGee? Okay, do we have a motion?
I would move to award the contract to Kronsberg Electric of Redmond for $372,776, noting that this is well under the project budget.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Thank you. Motion passes.
Thanks.
Item 7 on the agenda is Maple Lawn Preschool Transition Update and Intergovernmental Agreement with Director Ledane.
Hello again. I'm back. For your review and approval tonight is the authorization to enter into a 1-year intergovernmental agreement with the Greater Albany Public Schools to complete the transition of our Maple Lawn preschool program. As a little history, due to department budget cuts, the preschool was eliminated from the budget in 2019. With news of the program elimination, GAPS expressed interest in funding the program until a transition and a solution could be found. The original IGA term is set to expire on June 30th. While a full transition was anticipated by this time, due to the pandemic and staffing changes within the school district, 1 additional year is needed before the program is to be totally staffed and administered by the school district. For the upcoming school year, Maple Lawn staff will stay under the city, while program administration will fall under GAPS. At the end of this 1 year, the full program, staffing it all, will then be the responsibility of GAPS. I do want to say that we have been incredibly lucky over the last 3 years to have worked with really wonderful GAPS staff. I do want to express my sincere thanks to Lisa Harlan, as she was here at this area 3 years ago, asking for an opportunity to have a transition because she wanted to continue to serve the families. Katie Alabak has been amazing working through curriculum development. We've just been very lucky to have some consistent voices to chat with over the last 3 years. So as the program transitions, we look forward to continuing to work with them. With all of this said, we want to continue to be good partners. So our department has already held an open house for possible program participants, and we are going to assist with an initial registration the week of May 20th. After July 1st, the program rosters and waitlists will be transferred over to GAPS for follow-up, payment collection, and et cetera. From conversations with GAPS, this IGA will go before their board next Monday on the 13th. Are there any questions?
Any questions, council?
No questions, but I have to echo also, I've had, 2 things. We're excited to be signing up for classes at Maple Lawn again this summer. My daughter did 3 weeks of classes last year. And then also I wanted to echo that Katie Alabak and Lisa Harlan are fantastic to work with and really thoughtful and caring when it comes to developing curriculum and equity and when it comes to children. So I'll go ahead and move that we approve this.
Can I give everybody else a chance?
Oh, I apologize. I didn't see anyone else with questions.
Anybody else?
Enthusiastic.
I agree with you, but they would like to say something too. So anybody else have anything? Don't make me look bad now. You're killing me. Okay, there was, I got somebody. So I just want to say that I was there on the dais as a city councilor when we had this discussion back then and when they presented their thoughts, and I really was happy that we were able to help them transition the program. So well done. Thank them for us as well. And I have a motion. Do I have a second? You can finish your motion.
Go right ahead.
I wanted to say, I wanted to move that we approve the resolution authorizing City of Albany and Parks and Rec Department to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Greater Albany Public Schools for operation and maintenance of Maple Lawn.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Thank you very much, Director.
Thank you very much.
Next on tonight's agenda is the adoption of the consent calendar. Would the council like to pull an item for discussion? Would the council like to make a motion?
I'd move adoption of the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much. All those in favor say, no, opposed say no. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next on tonight's agenda is the staff reports. First up is item A is appointments of Economic Development Advisory Commission. Economic Development Manager Seth Sherry, pages 34 through 37 in your packet.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. Good to see y'all this evening. In recent years, the city of Albany has been on a steady path to maturing its approach to economic development. We continue to strengthen partnerships and working relationships with key institutions who support economic development opportunity and growth, such as LBCC, OSU, the Small Business Development Center, RAIN, and traditional and non-traditional financing institutions, as well as state agencies. We do a lot of work with DEQ and Business Oregon and DLCD and these other folks that touch aspects of growth and development. One of the reasons we use partners is that there is too much work to be done by any individual person or organization. I know that's obvious to you, but I wanted to say that. When we use other people for a shared goal, we oftentimes call that leverage. We leverage each other's expertise and experience and capacity for a shared common goal. In that vein, some time ago, I brought forth what I perceived, I think we collectively and our team saw a need for an economic development advisory group at the city. And it was proposed that this would be a small group of individuals with a proven track record of being champions for the community in their specific fields and area of expertise, who would work with the city's economic development staff to promote positive economic growth and provide insight to the council on the business climate, evolving priorities, and opportunities for investment and programming. Last fall, along with the council and some discussion, I think the council caught hold of the vision we'd outlined and approved the creation of this EDAC, this advisory group or advisory board. And I'm so pleased that the candidates before you have all agreed to use their precious time to support this effort as well. Every single one of these folks picks up the phone when we call. They've been willing to explore solutions and consider opportunities, propose creative options to whatever we were calling about, and several have actually worked with our team to help retain current businesses and entice new ones to our community. So in the world of entrepreneurship, sometimes, maybe you've heard this statement, but I like it, that you often hear this said, fail early and fail often. I don't know if you've heard that before, but I like the sentiment of that. Basically, on one hand, it means to be entrepreneurial, one needs to be consistently trying new things. And if you're not trying new things, you're probably not trying hard enough. And if it's not working, whatever you propose, then you pivot and try something else or adapt and move forward. So I want to congratulate the council for supporting something new. I know it's a little different than what we've done in the past, and we may have to adapt in the future to be more impactful. But I applaud your vision in getting behind this effort to be entrepreneurial in effort to promote economic vitality in Albany. So, Mayor, with that, I just conclude my remarks and invite any questions, and also remind you all that there is an action item on the table, and that would be to ratify the EDAC members as presented.
So thank you, Chef. The first person to click their microphone was Councilor Smith.
Oh, thank you. I'm impressed with the people that are not on this list. Good work finding this amount of talent and people who are devoted to local improvement. You said it very well as Albany is maturing in its approach to economic development, and it just further cements what I've been saying for some time. We're growing up. We're the 11th or 9th largest city in the state of Oregon now, and this is a big town. We're acting like a big town and we've got fine people who want to advise us. Also, on a purely aesthetic note, I like the presentation of the photos and
Yes.
it looks like a high-powered board of directors on a big corporation. So for those of us who are swayed by pretty things, that helps.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Councilor Novak, you were next.
I just had a quick question when I noticed when the terms are up. We're in March, so it looks like 2 people are serving 9 months as opposed to even a single year. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, so
Considered a-
I'll have to, so I think those terms would start, we'll probably have to re-up the dates on those, but they're on revolving terms, so not everyone turns over at the same
That
time.
makes
So
sense.
between
I
1 and
understood.
5.
I figured that.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
They'll be-
2 of them
they'll probably-
expire at the, pardon me?
They're more likely to be ratified again, so.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, because I just thought 9 months does not a year make.
Yeah, no, we'd be targeting a year. Thank
Okay.
you for that. Thanks.
Thank
At
you.
the minimum.
Any other
And
councilors?
there's no, Counselor, there's no term limit either. So somebody who's doing 9 months the intent was just to set up the stagger right now.
I can
since it's the
appreciate
first
that.
one.
Thank you.
But if
Thank
the
you.
person who's serving 9 months is willing to serve for another
9.
term, we can probably
All
ask
right,
them to
good.
do
Thank
that.
you.
It'll
That
be a
helps.
consent, it'll be a consent calendar thing anyway, wouldn't it be?
Pardon me?
So if the person does expire and they say they want to go again, continue, it'll just be a consent calendar thing, right?
Correct, yeah.
It'd be something to just glance over, okay.
And these dates do align with the other committees and so forth, the community advisory groups. So they try to, our great clerk staff tries to keep on top of that to make sure we're kind of in the same cycle.
Any other counselor have any comment?
Yeah, I had a quick question. What were the parameters for the appointment, and do each of these members live in the city of Albany?
Yeah, they all do live in the city of Albany. As we discussed this with this council or the previous council, I guess this last fall, there's a little bit different composition. The idea was identifying folks who, have a proven track record of being really devoted and working not only with us, but with the city broadly, and had expertise in specific fields not that indicate priorities in economic development, but rather contributions to the general machine of economic development. So development, finance, education, that sort of thing. And so that's how they were selected. Certainly there's other people who would be qualified, I'm sure, in the future as well.
And was there an application, or did we reach out to each of these individuals?
Yeah, it was, in this case, different from other advisory boards, like I noted earlier. So it was more talking with folks about their interest and willingness to participate.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to point out, I'm noticing kind of one general, everyone, it seems like, is white and all around the same age. So I would love to, for future appointments, or I'd love to include more diversity. We do have a lot of diverse leaders in the Albany area, and I'd love to include them. I think it's important to have a varying amount of perspectives. But yeah, the lineup looks great, but that's just a note for the future.
It's a great point.
Yeah, I don't think that Lisa Avery lives, I think she lives in Millersburg. She's not in Albany.
Yeah, she would be probably the singular exception there,
Okay.
given that LBCC is such a key partner in workforce development, and her willingness as the president felt it appropriate to put that forward. And in fact, stop me if I'm wrong here, but we don't have a charter that says specifically in this case they all have to be residents here. They all are except for her. That's a good point. Thank you.
Saying because you said that they all were. And
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think that that was the case. But to Stephanie's point, Councilor Newton, I think it would be, I like what I see here. I think it's a lot of wealth of experience. It'd be good to maybe get a little bit of youth in that space, I think.
They might take offense to that, a few of them.
They should.
I didn't see the charter in the packet as well.
Yeah, it would just be in the minutes from the last one, so I can send it back out to you if you like.
Okay,
But it was
excellent.
approved
Thank you, yeah.
last fall, early winter.
Councilor Montague?
Just as somebody who deals with change for a living, I really appreciate your comments about this is a try. We're going to try this out, and there may be future adjustments. So I appreciate the willingness to try something new and understanding that there might be some adjustments later. I also echo we should be more intentional about diversity in our choices. So I appreciate that, and that maybe in the future we can use that as an adjustment. Thank you.
I sent you a text message this morning. I was quite happy with the appointments. I've actually known Tim Weber since I moved to Oregon 20-some-odd years ago, 28 years ago. I know the rest of them as well, and I think it's a great start. And I think that as we move forward through time, I would like to see more diversity, because we have Hispanic business owners, Asian business owners, East Indian business owners. So diversification would be great. But this is a great start to get moving, and I'm happy that we're finally here, because I've been on you about economic development since we met. So thank you very much for doing this, and thanks for staff supporting and putting this together. So, Council, do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and approve the ratification of the appointments for Sherry Payne, Chris Hansen, Tim Weaver, Brent Stutzman, and Lisa Avery.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're off to the races. Thank you.
Get to work. Stop talking to me. Go to work. Next up on item B on the staff reports is salary range adjustments for police department positions. Chief Marsha Harnden on page 38 and 39 of your packet. Good evening, Chief. Thanks for sticking around with us this evening.
Oh, anything for you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you very much. I've got two items for you. First is the salary grade adjustments for 2 police department positions. As you know, we ratified the contract with the Albany Police Association late last year, and that caused a cascading effect of some salary adjustments that needed to take place. And I really appreciate the HR director's work on this. We have more to go, but these are 2 that are more pressing. First is the police support services manager, who currently oversees 19 employees directly. So he oversees police records, police dispatch, and our property and evidence, all high liability areas. It's a unique position, and we couldn't find a comparable to look at. In the past, that was a 2-manager position. During the last budget struggles for the city, we eliminated one of those positions in anticipation of potential cuts, and so that manager has taken on a much bigger role. And so we're trying to make some adjustments so that his level of work is competitive. So we're asking for that position to be moved from position N126 to N132. And then the second one is our police accreditation manager, who, and I'll remind the council that the memo says nationally accredited. We're actually internationally accredited. There's only 3 police departments in the state of Oregon that have this level. It's ourselves, Corvallis Police Department, and Washington County Sheriff. A lot of work goes into this as far as policy, program development. We're very blessed, and the person that we have in that position also has experience in organizational development. So she has created a employee development program, as well as updated a lot of our policies and procedures. And in a competitive review of that position, she was very much undercompensated. So we are asking to move her from N116 to N122. The budget impact on this is covered by existing general fund dollars within the police department budget. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Chief, for your report. Council, you have any questions for Chief? Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the 2 salary grade adjustments effective March 1st, 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. The second item I have is for a reclassification. As many of you know and have had our Code Compliance Officer, Chris Shandell, sitting in front of this council many, many times. He is very much considered a subject matter expert in the region as far as code compliance issues, and even helps us draft city code and procedures. As a part of our agreement with Albany Police Association and the settlement of the contract, that we would review certain positions where we know that employees are working well beyond their current classification. So again, thank you to HR Director Roten for taking a deep dive and looking at the type of work that position is currently doing and finding that the compensation and the level was not appropriate for what we were getting out of this position. So we're asking council approval to reclassify the code compliance officer to a 1.0 FTE senior code compliance officer, a level P116, effective January 1st, 2023. So there's a back pay in that. And that budget impact is covered under the city services fees, and there's appropriate and enough funding to make that change.
Council, any questions for Chief Herndon?
I would move to do the reclassification for the code compliance officer with enthusiasm.
And I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate all your officers' work. And Christian Dell, I know he goes through it, so I've seen him work. And last year he helped me out with a couple things, so.
We don't want to lose him, so.
Right. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. So next on tonight's agenda is business from the council. You want to do the executive question first, or do you want to do business from the council?
Go. It doesn't matter. We can do the executive session at the end, and then just adjourn the meeting after we come back into.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do business from the council. Council, I'll start with Dr. McGee.
Yes, actually, I have a constituent concerned about the cats, the feral cats that are around and out, and there's not enough resources to neuter, trap, or stop them from reproducing. And so she wants to bring that and see what resources we have here. And she says safe haven is not an option. So what other resources do we have available for feral cats?
So I'm glad you brought that up, because before the pandemic, matter of fact, the month of the pandemic, I had actually scheduled a group meeting with people that were addressing that particular concern. And we have people in the community that put out cat food for feral cats, and it adds to the problem. And so we should probably reignite that discussion, because they're still reaching out to me about that. So, okay, I'll get with you and get you that information. So Councilor Novak?
I have a couple of constituents who have brought issues of various types of noise One had to do with trains, and I'm not sure, I mean, we do have noise ordinances, but that doesn't extend to the trains, yeah.
So that's correct, right? It's a federal, the train noise is a federal thing, correct?
Your question about train noise and what was the association with federal?
That's a federal right of way, so we have no jurisdiction over.
No, and Ron, Chris might be able to address this, but you can establish a quiet zone, but that requires quite an investment in equipment that would make that zone much safer, because the reason they use their horns is for safety. So if you can make those investments to make that stretch of railroad safer, that eliminates the need for the horn. But it's quite expensive. And we have looked into it before, and Ron Irish has given a figure. And Chris, I would invite you to correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something like about $1 million for a crossing. But rather than believe that, let me ask Chris to comment.
Is she here?
She's
like, no, go.
I also had someone email me in jealousy that Millersburg got a quiet zone for their train. And
They what?
I got an email in jealousy from someone that said, how come Millersburg got a quiet zone? I think they just got one this last month. They have one crossing, yes, one.
Well, maybe it was easier to mess with only one crossing than all the crossings that we have in Albany.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, Director, thank you. Can you please help us with Councilor Novak's concern?
No, I can't.
Well, at least
I don't remember. I'd have to get the exact, the memo back from Ron. It's been some years ago. I think the request that you're referring to was for the crossing in North Albany. Is that the same one?
It was a North Albany constituent, but forgive me off the top of my head, I'm not sure where the crossing is. And I've had multiple North Albany constituents bring train noise in the middle of the night to me. And I just thought, well, I don't know what we can do because they're not originating. Well, maybe some of them are originating in Albany. We do have a train station, but.
No, it's, well, I think as Peter said, the rules are, federal rail safety rules, and they have to blow their horn within so many feet of the crossing. You can get a quiet zone. It does require quite a bit of investment. Millersburg just did get some funding, but I think I don't remember if it was state or federal funding, but they had to get that specially allocated. It's quite expensive, but we can find out that process, and I can get the information from Ron again about how much it was.
As an alternative to expensive quiet zones, is there any way that we could have like they have the noise ordinance that takes effect at 8 p.m. or 10 p.m. and go, no? Okay.
We can't.
Just a thought.
Yeah, we can't supersede that rule for
course
the
we can't.
railroads.
Okay.
No.
All right. It was just a thought. And then, thank you.
Sure.
There's a second part to the noise issue.
I'll just-
So, yeah. But, so Councilor Newton and you, sir, also received, I believe, an email from a gentleman who has a noise issue of a different sort.
And I forwarded those to the chief, so
To the chief?
yes.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure our constituent will be likewise pleased.
So
I'm
Chief,
hoping
would you like
we
to
can
talk to
do
us about that?
something about it.
Here she comes. Yeah, whenever I get something like that, I just forward to chief and city manager or the attorney.
Is this the email that I correspond? Yes, we did get it. We've had a couple of different discussions with that individual. I'm not sure he's super happy with us, but we're doing our best to try to mitigate it. So one of his issues was lack of response. Domestic violence, assaults, in progress calls come before noise complaints, and he's having a difficult time understanding that. Sometimes you're going to have to wait.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, chief. Is that it? Any other counselor have any questions for the chief or for the director?
For Chris. Chris, I also have a train question.
I'm
Thanks,
sorry,
Chief.
what question?
I have a train question
Oh,
as
okay.
well. So I had someone that reached out about train derailments, and they were wondering about regarding the hazardous materials that are transported via rail through the city of Albany, and if there's a way to know what kinds of hazardous chemicals are transported through Albany, and if the possibility of a derailment ever comes to fruition, if there is a contingency plan.
Okay. I actually do know something about this.
Excellent.
We just were talking about this morning with the fire chief, and the fire department has the most access to information on the contents of rail cars, but they don't get any sort of advance notice when hazardous materials are coming through. I think there used to be a rule that they were required to be notified of a certain quantity of certain types of materials, but that rule, a federal rule, was rescinded. So now they don't get any notice about anything.
Wait, we don't get any notice about anything anymore?
No. And so that would be a federal requirement. And so if the council is interested, we can definitely send letters to our federal representatives and talk about that, but we don't get any notification, is my understanding. They do have the ability to figure out what's in a car if there is an incident. They can look up the identification of that car and get a link to the manifest, but they don't get advance warning. Now, regarding response, there is a local planning and coordination group called the LEPC, Local Emergency Planning Committee, maybe, something like that. I actually had to sit on it once years ago. And this is a group of the local fire departments, industry representatives, and other environmental health representatives and safety. And there are plans for any kind of major disasters. It could be a train derailment. It could be an incident at one of our industrial facilities that has hazardous materials. And they do have, the fire department does have plans for response, shelter in place, evacuations, all of the levels of response. So all of that planning and coordination and exercising is taking place.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I might have questions later once I marinate.
And it's regarding just lighting on Goldfish Farm Road coming from, Walmart. It's just really, really dark over there. People walk over there, folks can't see. Even if they have on the reflector vests,
Okay.
it's really hard to see people over there. I've gotten a couple.
Along Goldfish Farm Road? Okay. We'll talk with the county. That road is currently still a county road, although we're working on that, but we can talk with them and see what it looks like over there.
Yeah, just some lighting over there would really be beneficial.
Sure. Okay, we'll look into that.
Councilor Montague?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment, and I'm very excited to say that we have new LED lights on my street now, and my neighbors and I are very excited because one of my lights were out and it was really dark, and it looks fantastic, and we can see a lot better now. I did notice the new LED lights in front of the mall too. Those are pretty cool. They're like blue and really kind of futuristic. So anyway, very excited that new LED lights are going in.
Councilor Smith, are you done?
Mr. Smith noticed that the LED person had been on our street this last week as well, so it's brighter. One item that I would like to bring up is the letter that we received from Katie Alaback today about the property over by Edgewater Village. And I just was driving through the neighborhood a couple days ago, and I thought, oh, we haven't talked about that with the new council yet.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So what are we going to do about that? Are we going to bring that back for a discussion one of these days?
Chris is about
there.
to be joined by Matthew Rutgers.
Come on up, Matthew, Director Ruckers.
Good evening, councilors. Good evening. So the Madison Street property, I also did see the letter that came in asking kind of what the plan was for that property. If you recall back in September, I had came and we had talked about the Madison Street property and the council had declared it surplus. So the next, excuse me, the next step for that property would be, well, at least the direction at the time that we got from council was we were waiting on, we got an appraisal on the property. Now the next step would be to actually list the property. And this is the process that we talked about back in September. That property would be listed. We would schedule a night for a public hearing where folks would come in and kind of make their pitch for what they wanted to do with that property. And then we'd go into an executive session to kind of look at what the bids were, and the council could make a decision. Obviously, none of that has been set in stone yet, other than we've declared the property surplus. So that's the plan that I'm planning on moving forward with, unless I hear something otherwise.
Good.
The appraisal hasn't been done?
The appraisal has gotten in. Obviously, we've with limited staff, this is a project that I'm doing myself. So it is definitely on my list of things to do, and we'll be coming back hopefully in the next couple months with a confirmation on this is the steps that we're going to move forward before we actually put a for sale sign out there. I want to make sure that council knows that that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are you done?
I'm done.
So I have a few things. Last week was an amazing week. It was Reading Across America. And oh my gosh, I talked to so many kids and parents. It was fantastic. But I want to thank the participants from the city, staff that was out there, elected officials. I heard you stole the show in a few places, so that's a good thing.
I'm great at voices.
But I want to say I thank you to all of you that participated in that. And I received some really nice emails from parents thanking us for coming out and supporting. And Chief Harden was there, the fire chief, and some of the deputies were there. It was wonderful to have that. And I purposely took a bag full of tokens to the carousel to my classroom. And so I had piles of kids. I gave over 100 tokens away that day. So it was fantastic. So we should all participate in that from the city. I've been attending the Benton County Talks Trash committee over in Benton County because they're having discussions going on about the landfill at Coffin Butte. They're currently taking trash from our area and moving it all the way over to the Dalles and other cities. And so I recommend, or I would hope that we would participate in that discussion because they are receiving our trash and also from like 5 other counties. So when I went, there was only two people from Albany, but no one elected from Albany. I think that we should get involved. So I've rallied, I'm working with the mayors in Lynn County, Mayor Jacola, to come out and join me in the meeting. Also, Charles Mon, he's there from Corvallis. But I'm trying to get a hold of the new mayor in Sweet Home because we need to be involved in that discussion because they are receiving our waste product and it's going in the landfill. So I'll be attending those meetings. I received a lot of great emails regarding the Wells Fargo demolition. I was quite surprised that the feedback has been positive about time. One was like big bold letters about time, and she put damn in there too, but I didn't want to say it on camera. Well, I did say it anyway. And then the trees. I probably received over 100 emails or text messages regarding trees, and I do appreciate Hansel Herring for taking pictures of the trees with the rot in the middle, so thank you for posting that. But other people have also started posting that the inside of the trees were rotted out, and so that's kind of calmed down tremendously. And then I want everyone to know this ahead of time, that Veterans Day this year, the Beavers are playing at home, and so are the Ducks. So I would stay off I-5. So we have the third largest veterans parade in the United States, biggest on this side of Mississippi. That's going to be a long day for a lot of folks. So staff and people that are in Visitor Association plan on a lot of traffic coming through Albany. So, and that's all I had. I'll do the city manager's report and then we'll go into executive session.
It's very short. I have nothing to add.
I like the way you work. That's good. Okay, with that, we're gonna read the agenda, the executive session script. The city council will now meet in executive session for the purpose of discussing real property transactions in accordance with ORS 192.660 subsection 2, subsection E. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other participants must exit. Online audience members will be moved into a waiting room. When the council returns to open session, staff will readmit those remaining in the waiting room to rejoin the meeting when we return. In-person audience members must leave the council chambers and wait until wait in the hallway. When the council returns to open session, the staff will open the doors and call. You can rejoin the meeting. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decisions will be made in executive sessions. I now recess to executive session at 7:08 p.m. So with that, next meeting dates are Monday. Do I need to make a motion or something with this or no? Okay. Next meeting dates are March 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. for a budget committee training meeting. Monday, March 20th at 2023 at 4 p.m. for our next work session. And Wednesday, March 22 for 22nd at 2023 for 6 p.m. And with that,
Mayor, did you, if you might have mentioned it, but I missed it then. Did you mention the budget committee?
Yes, I was
training?
mentioning it.
Okay, good.
and then Wednesday, March 2022, March 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. is the next city council meeting. And with that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for participating this evening.